Hi folks, this is Karim Rao from the IT Visualizer channel. Today we'll continue our lab, the Star Trek lab. This is the 9th video. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have been discussing that what is the concept of file classification. Anyway, we have been discussing in the previous video that we will have a main organizational unit and we have sub-organizational units. There are computers in every organizational unit, in the main OU and in the sub-OUs. We need to have a file server, okay, so all of these computers can use it to store their data on it, okay, and we need to find a way so we can classify all of the files that has been put on this file server by all of the computers in all of the OUs, the main OUs and the sub OUs. What I mean by file classification, I need to run a report, for example, from the file server to know, for example, the computers, okay, in the sub-organizational unit Colombia, for example, how much files they have on my file server, okay, what is the files, or this organizational unit contains some groups for some departments. So I need, for example, also to have a report to know how much files are related to the group of IT in the group of the IT in the sub-organizational unit Colombia. For example, we all know that we are resembling that this main organization unit, it is like a main branch, and the sub-organization units are like branches, okay. So here, for example, we have computers, okay, and we have users and we have groups, okay. Here we have a group of IT, okay, and they are working on their computer and they have a folder on the file server, they put their data on it. And different departments, we not only have the IT, we have HR, we have a lot of departments. Every department will have a folder on the file server to put their data on it. So we need to have a report saying for us, for example, the branch Colombia or the sub-organization unit Colombia, how much files they have on my file server, how much files are related to the IT department, how much files are related to the HR, how much files are related to different departments, okay. And this applies to all of the sub-organizational units, okay, and the main organizational unit as well. And we need also to classify files, for example, or to define files, or to run a report from the file server saying for us how much, for example, files we have that are classified, okay. How we can do this, okay, or how we can run a report from the file server telling us exactly how much files is there for each sub-organizational unit and departments in this sub-organizational unit. We need to classify the files, okay. What we mean by classify the files, we need to give them a tag or tag the files. For example, we need all of the files that are put in the folder of Colombia on the file server, we need to tag them as Colombia, okay. For example, we need to tag the IT files or the department of IT files. Their files on the file server should be tagged as IT, okay. For example, we need to tag files, for example, put by the human species or the human department in the Colombia OU, we need to put a tag on it, okay. This is at the end we mean by tagging. I need to have all of the files classified and tagged, okay, so we can find them easily, so I can run a report. For example, I need to know the IT files, so I can run report easily and know the IT files, for example, for the Colombia OU, or I can run a report to run the IT files for the Deep Space OU, okay. I need, for example, to run a report from the file server to know the files that has been put by human groups, okay, in the OU, okay. All of this we need to do it from the file server by running reports. But to do this, we need to classify the files. So we have three criteria for classifying the files. We will classify the files by the location they are located in. For example, we will tag the files by the location, for example, like Colombia in X02. We will tag the files by the group or the department that had put the files, okay, which is, for example, the IT group in the Colombia ship, so we can tag it by department. And the last one, we will tag them by the species. For example, we have a group called human. This is the group that has put the file. So we have three criteria to classify the files. We can classify them by the location, that they have come from, the department that they have come from, the species that had put the file. So all of this we have discussed in the previous video. Please refer to my previous video, you can know more details, and we will use these classifications to have more control over our files. For example, we will put, or we will classify some files not by the location or the department or the species. We will locate them by the confidentiality or by the secrecy. For example, there is some files are top secret, there are some files are less secret or medium secret. So we'll classify some files as top secret files, and we will control, or we will give certain users in the Active Directory access to these files. Okay, so the classification can help us to tag some files and specify some users to access these tagged files. Okay, so this is one way of classifying the files. Will help us search the files, okay, more easily. We can control who can access certain files based on the tagging that we have done for them. So classification of files is very important. Classification of files can help us know number of files we have, which departments have these files, which locations have these files. Okay, so classification, it is something like tagging in Facebook. You need only to put tags on the files so you can know the location of each file, and we have discussed in details in a graph how this classification will be done, but we'll do this in this video practically. And then we also discussed or have configured or added the DHCP role and configured the scope for IP version 4, and we also have configured the scopes for IP version 6 because we are using both IP versions in our lab. Okay, and we added also the file server role, that we will use it to classify the files, because there is an option in the file server to classify files, so we will use it. So we need to add the file server role, and we added something called DFS namespace and DFS replication. We will use these two technologies to make our file server redundancy. So we will have a file server and we have another file server. We will use a technology called DFS, and we will make between the two file servers replication. Okay, something like a replication and a system that will help us to have a backup plan. If one of the file servers is down, the other will be working, and it will contain the data of the users to the latest update that they are working on. So if one of the servers are down, the other one will work, and it will have the same data. Okay, the same data the first server have until the time it was down or it was out of service. Okay, so this is a technology, very good technology. We'll use it. It's called DFS, and it has other features and other benefits. We will discuss it later. And then we have created department folders. These department folders, as I said before, every computer in every organizational unit will have a folder on the file server to put their data on it. Okay, and we can have folders for departments. So every organizational unit will have a folder, and this folder will be will contain in it subfolders for every department in this organizational unit. Okay, so and after that we will share these folders and we'll map them at network drive by the group policy. Okay, and we will have permissions on this department folders, and we will share them okay, by using PowerShell scripts. So we'll have PowerShell scripts to share the folders. We have PowerShells to put NTFS permissions and SMB share permissions on it, and at the end we will map this department shares, okay, to be a network drive to appear for every department or every user for every department. Okay, so the IT, for example, when he logs in with his Active Directory user, he will have a network mapped drive for the IT department shared folder. Okay, and then we have a problem arise when we're configuring IP version 6 on the DHCP, or when we're configuring the scope of IP version 6 on the DHCP. We have a problem with the subnet mask of the IP version 6 subnet. There was a problem. The subnet mask was not correct when I was configuring it on the DHCP role, and this because the DHCP doesn't give me an option to change the subnet mask. Here I already have a default subnet mask which is /64. I can't change it. So I have discussed this also in the previous video and try to see if there is any way to overcome this problem. But anyway, we now continue our video or we will continue working with the classification. We have discussed it in the previous video as graph. We will now discuss it as practical. So we need now to classify the files according to the location, according to the department, and according to the species that has put the file. So we will now continue. We will now open classification and then classification management, and then right click, create local property. So now we will make one classification, which is location of files. So this is the first type of classification, and then we will location of files from which ship. So basically the classification, it is a way to tag the files so we can find them easily. Okay, so now we will have our locations as a multiple choice. Okay, so we will have all of the ships names added in this box. Okay, so now we will go and add. Here is the ship's location. Okay, so this is all of them. So we'll put them in a box. Okay, we'll copy them and put them in the box. Okay, this value, so this is the multiple choice and this is the value, but unfortunately that I can't add them all, so I need to add it one by one. And you can see also that I can't maximize the cell. So here I put the name, for example, of the ship of Columbia, but when I try to make it or make the columns to be more wider so I can see, so for example here when I tell him paste and I try to maximize or try to have the value appearing as a whole by maximizing the value cell, it doesn't maximize with me, so I need to put all of the ships one by one. So here we will paste it. Okay, you can see here that I can't maximize the cell of value. So for example here, let me show you. So here you can't maximize here the value, so I can see the whole word of Columbia and Deep Space. Okay, this is a bug in the file server configuration. Okay, so now we'll put all of them one by one. I think I will make it quickly. So let's see if this will when you don't need to see all of it. So here we have reached the end. We have added all of them. Okay, we added the location. Okay, no, I think still we have it. We still are adding all of them, but I don't need you all to see it. We just can go there, Reliant. Okay, and then again, so we'll have Titan. So now we have added all of them. So we have all of the ships added. So now we have our first criteria of classification of files. We need to add the Starfleet Command, because Starfleet Command is also one of the ships, or one of the, it is the main OU. Okay, so now we have added location of files. Okay, then we need to make a new one by the department. Okay, and then right click and then create local property, and then we will make department. So this are the classifications, and then we will, after making these classifications, we will make some automatic rules based on this classification, so it can classify the files automatically. So when I put a file in the IT department in the Columbia OU, it will be tagged as Columbia OU IT department file. It will be tagged automatically, or it will be classified automatically. Okay, so now here we are going to add the departments. These are the departments. Okay, so this is the second classification. Okay, paste or researchers. and then we'll begin adding the departments one by one. Okay, so now we are adding the medic, the engineering. It's only 4 departments: researches, medic, engineering, and IT. Okay, and we have another 3 folders for high level documents. It's not a department, but it is a folder for high level documents and normal level documents and global level documents, or the least sensitive data. Okay, so here we have all of them, and it will also be a multiple choice. And you need to know that we will use the classification method of folder content. Okay, not folder classifier, sorry, not content classifier. The folder classifier, it classifies the files based on the folder that they are in. Okay, as for the content classifier, it classifies the file based on a word that you give it to him. If he find it in the file, which is maybe text, Excel, Word, and so, he will classify the file based on a word he will search in this file, maybe Word, maybe Excel, maybe so, but he will be classifying them according to the content of the file. Okay, so here we can see that we have the crew. So here we have another thing. Here, when I was creating the users, okay, we have something in it, or we have a field in the Active Directory called the division. Okay, on this division I use it, okay, to put the species of the user. So here we will go to the attribute of the Active Directory. We have a division, something called the division. Okay, when I have created the users, I have, using the PowerShell script, of course, so when creating the users, I have a field named division, and this division contains the species of the user. Okay, and we will use this value, okay, to classify the files as well by the species that had put the file. Okay, so we will continue. So this is done by the PowerShell script as well. And we can use these classifications to control what users or groups can access this file based on the classification of the file. Okay, so you can, for example, make a classification of file to be, for example, top secret, and you can, for example, make the IT manager or the user of the IT manager only access these files, or make certain group to access this file based on the classification of the file. So you can control the access of the files based on the folder that they are in. This is a way of controlling, and you can control the access to the files based on their classification. Okay, so here these are the species. Okay, so we'll make the third classification. We have 2 classifications of files based on the location, and then the department, and then the last one is the species, okay, or the race that has put this file. Okay, so we will go and tell him classification and then properties. Okay, and now we will tell him species, or division, not division, species, and then we will add the values. Multiple choice. Okay, here you have a lot of options. You can have the values as a single value, so you can tell him only to choose a single value or one selection, or you can tell him multiple selections as you wish. Okay, so this is a lot of ways you can put your data or display your data. You can display it as yes or no, okay, or display it as a date, or display it as a multiple choice. This is the one that we are using. I will show you all. When we put a certain file in a certain folder, we will see that we can classify the file, or there is a tab called classification. From this tab you can classify the file. Okay, so here I think I have a problem, so I restarted the server anyway, so we will pass it real quickly. we'll go there and continue our working here. So these are the species. Okay, and we need, after doing the classification, to make the classification or automatic classification rules. So these rules can be used, okay, to, so here let me show you a little bit of a graph here, just a moment. So here we have working with the species one, okay, and we have the last species put, and then we will begin working with the rules. So we need to make rules to use the classification that we have put. So we need to make, for example, a classification rule to mark or to tag any file coming or in the folder of Columbia NX to be marked or tagged as Columbia NX, and to tag every file put in the folder of the Department of IT to be tagged as an IT, okay, or files in it to be tagged as an IT, okay. So now we'll make classification rules to be sure to make classification rules for every location, and to make classification rule for every department, and to make classification rule for every species, okay. So here we'll have location rules, and then we need to tell him where is the folder. So here I'm telling him the folder that I need you to tag any file that it is put on it by the word Columbia. It will be in the Columbia folder. So here we have the data cube, and then we will have the Columbia NX. We need to tell him the Columbia NX file. So this is not correct. Need to pass it real quickly. I'll get it again. So here we'll go back again. So here we'll tell him again, sorry, here you go, just a moment, one moment here. So, okay, again, sorry. So here, just a moment, we go a little bit further. So here, just a moment again. So here we'll tell him this is the folder of Columbia, okay, by adding the file. So here tell him add the file, or the folder of Columbia. So if there is any file added to this, or it is within this folder named Columbia, it will be tagged or classified as Columbia files, okay. And here is the type of files you need them to be tagged. You need user files, you need group files, you need backup and archive files, or application files. You can choose them all, okay. So the first one to have the name of the rule, then the scope, what files you will tag them, okay, which type of files you need to tag, and where is these files are located. So they are located in the Columbia folder. Any file added in the Columbia will be classified as or tagged as Columbia. So this is it. And then classification, here tell him to not the content classifier, but we need to use the folder classifier. So if we added the content classifier, what he will do, he will search every file in the folder of Columbia, okay, and if he find the word Columbia in one of the files, for example, if we have Excel, Word, PowerPoint, or etc. in the folder of Columbia, he will go and search these files, and if he see the word Columbia NX, he will tag the file as Columbia. But we need not to have this content classifier, we will use the folder classifier. And here is the classification you need to use. So you need to tag it by the department or to tag it by the location. So we will choose the location and then tell him to tag it as Columbia. So here we will use the folder classifier, okay, the folder classifier, and then we need to tell him to the locations and Columbia. So here we need to add the folder classifier. What we mean by folder classifier, if any file in the folder Columbia is added, it will be tagged by Columbia, okay. So the first one is the name, the second one is the files that will be tagged and their location, and the classification method, it is the third tab. So tell him to look to have the files classified with the location, and then tell him Columbia, okay. This is the folder classification or classifier. If you need to tag it by the content classifier, so you need to tell him the word, okay, and the method, and then you need to configure to tell him if you find the word Columbia, so you need to tag the file as Columbia. We will see that now in a moment. So now still he need to go to configure we need to go to configure. So after configuring, you need to tell him that the parameters, tell him, okay, the content classifier, he will search every files in the folder of Columbia X. If he find a certain word, you will here configure it. So we'll tell him not a regular expression, we need him to have a string, or to have a word. If he find this word in the files within the folder, for example, if he filed the word Columbia in the files within the folder of Columbia, he will tag them as Columbia. So here we tell him Columbia. Okay, this is the content classifier method. As for the folder, you don't need a folder classifier method, you don't need to have a certain word. He will tag them if they are in the folder directly. He will not search the files in the folder. Okay, so now we tell him you can use both methods or use the method that you like. Okay, but here, for example, if he finds the word not Columbia classified or top secret, he will tag the file as top secret. So here we can do this with the top secret method. If you need to have the files classified based on their sensitivity or their secrecy, so you can make another one and tell him certain parameters, and then tell him if he find the word secret or top secret within the files in a folder, okay, in Excel sheet, in Word, or so, if he find the word top secret, he will tag it as top secret. Okay, so now we will do this. This is the third tab. As for the fourth tab, tell him reevaluate existing properties. Here I'm telling him to reevaluate or reclassify all of the files, okay, because this is my first time, or I hadn't make this rule before, so I need him to reevaluate all of the files in my file server and see if any one of them match the rule that I have made. Okay, so this is how to reevaluate the property. Okay, so now we will do it, and then we need to right click and tell him run the classification rule. Okay, so now he will run it, and after he will run it, he will give you a report. If he find a match, or he finds something that matches with the rule, he will tell you. For example, he will see, or he will tell you that I have found a file in the folder Columbia. This file contains the word Columbia, so I will tag the file that contains the word Columbia, I will tag it as Columbia file, okay, or classify it as Columbia file. Okay, but this was not it, so we didn't have, or we don't have any files in this folder, so we need to go and create file or have a text file in the folder of Columbia, and then run the classification rule. He will recognize it and tell you that I have found a file and the word Columbia, it is in it, so I will tag the file as Columbia file. So we'll see that in a moment. Let me show you. So here what we will do, we will go and create a text file. So we go to the IT, and then we create a text file. Okay, here you go, and then in the text file I need to type the word Columbia. We need to type the word Columbia in the file. Okay, so we will go to the file, but now I didn't do it, so it will not, the rule will not apply, because we are using the content classifier rule. Okay, so the content classifier rules, it will search the files, any files within the folder of Columbia NX. If he find the word Columbia, he will tag the file as Columbia. But now of course he didn't find anything, so we need to go to the text file and type the word Columbia so he can tag the file. Okay, so we need to go there. Sorry, just a moment, we will go there. So again, so what we will do, I use the folder classifier, but I don't need the folder classifier. We'll go there again. Sorry. So here what you will do, I have changed the way of the classifying, not as content but as folder. Okay, so here I'm telling him that if you find any, this is the second method, if you find any file within the folder of Columbia, you will tag it as Columbia. So we'll see how this method will work. Okay, and I will show you the second method. We will, now we have changed it from the content classifier to the folder classifier. So if he finds any, let me show you all a little bit here. If you go there, so if we go and get a little bit of a moment, so you tell him if any folder in Columbia or any file in Columbia, just we can go a little bit further here again. So we will go there and edit the rule. Okay, what I'll do here, I'm telling him that in the scope, if any file within the folder of Columbia, okay, using the folder classification method, you will tag it as Columbia directly. He will not search the content of the file, okay. He will tag the file because it is already in the folder of Columbia, okay. So I will do this now. So go to the classification and change the content classifier to the folder classifier, okay. So after doing this, we can see that when we run the rule again, he will find the file and he will tell you that it is already tagged. And we will go to the properties of the file and see the classification tab. You will see that he already tagged it as Columbia, okay. So now we will do it and tell him okay, and then we will re-evaluate, or we will run the rule again. So tell him okay, and then we will run the rule. We'll run the rule again, run classification rule, and tell him wait for the classification to complete. Now he will classify the file, okay. Remember that we have made the text file and we didn't put anything. So here he find the file, okay. He find a file, okay, and he will tag it as Columbia, okay. So we have a file named text document. This is the one that we have created. He find it the value of Columbia, or it is in a folder named Columbia, so he will tag it as Columbia, okay. Location Columbia file. So this is the rule, this is the tagging that will be added to the file, and where it was accessed, last accessed, and last modified, and who is the owner of this file, okay. So this is good. We have already this file tagged, but using the folder classification method, not the content, okay. So now we will go and change it. Now I will delete it as a whole. So now I have already have a classification rule, or it is correct, but I will make it again. So what we will do, we will have the content classifier, okay. We will have the content classifier, sorry, we need to go there again, the content classifier, okay, the content classifier, and then we will go there, okay, and tell him, say before, for the word, okay, and we will run it. Sorry guys, but I need to show you all how this is done. We need to go and change the word. So here, just a moment, we'll go there again and go and have, sorry, I need to go to the text. I need to see you all something here. So again, I need to tell you something here. So here what we'll do, again and again, we'll go here, sorry. So here we have a text, no, sorry guys, here again I need to show you all something here. So here we'll have a text file. We have added the Columbia, okay, word. So using the content classifier, if we add this word, he will tag it as Columbia using the content classifier. So now we will do there to show all what will happen. If we go to the properties of the file, but just a moment, no, I need to go there, just a moment. Here is the content of the file, again. So here, sorry, again, so here we can see, just a moment, to show you the contents of the file, okay, again, okay. So just a moment, no, I need to show you the file itself, okay, just a moment. So here, sorry, again, okay. So here we can see that it's already tagged by Columbia because they have word Columbia in the text file, and it's also the text file has the word IT, so it will tagged as Columbia as department IT. Just a moment guys, sorry guys, let's continue. So now, as I said before, here I have created another classification rule to tag the file as an IT, okay, IT file, if the text file or the content of the file contains the word IT. And we have also another rule that if the file contains the word Columbia NX, will be tagged as Columbia NX. Okay, so we have this method is called the content classify or content classifier method. Okay, this is a way to find the content, and you tell him a value, he will search in the content of the file. If he find it, he will tag the file with the content or with the value that you give him. Okay, as for the folder classifier, he will tag any file in the folder with the value that you give to him. Okay, so this is the classification method. Okay, and the way to classify the files and the benefits of classifying the files. We can classify files to rearrange them or find them easily. So if I tag the file as IT, I can get a report with the IT files, and I can find or search them easily, and also I can control the access to the files based on these values. Okay, so in the upcoming video we'll begin working with the DFS. We will install the DFS or begin working with the distributed file system. We'll work with it and we'll see how it is very important. It is a very good way to have a redundant file server. So hope this video is informative for you all, and I would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much. Just here I am passing all of the files. Thank you so much.